I prefer to live in a country where Christian men tear down statues of Satan instead of tolerating true evil. There is no call for tolerance in our Christian Bible. That is a lie that has been given to us by people who hate us. The idea that Christians must be tolerant of all people and tolerant. Christ wasn't tolerant.
See, this is the conflation that bothers me, because I don't hate Christians. I love Christians, but I do hate authoritarians.
What's up, guys? Boy Benny. Freedom of religion is the cornerstone of life in America. It's why we have a country in the first place, right? People were upset that the Church of England said there's only one church, you can only believe one thing, and people who believed other things broke off other Christians and said, we're going to start our own thing. Right? They came here, they're called the Pilgrims, and then a bunch of other people from a bunch of other backgrounds, too numerous to count, come to America in order to live in harmony and in peace, and in order to worship their God or not. Right?
They're like, screw these places where the state tells us what religion we have to be, tells us what we have to believe, tells us what is good and what is bad. Screw them. I know my heart of hearts, my inner voice. It tells me what is good and bad, and the state often gets it wrong. So I want to go to a place where the state isn't making that decision for me. I can make it myself. Matt Walsh doesn't get to make it. I make it.
Right? That's the beauty of America, is that you actually don't have to be forced to do anything. It's kind of awesome here for that reason. But if you're going to be a religion, you have to actually, be a religion. What is a religion? Well, defined by Encyclopedia Britannica, is the worship of God or gods, the belief in a superhuman power, a power that is outside of human control. Well, ladies and gentlemen, well, that would, I guess, assume that religion is the presence of God. But you see, Satanism is the absence of God. In fact, hell itself, as understood and defined, is the total and complete absence of God and his presence in his light.
Okay, so he's obviously using a definition from just the internet. And we talked about this earlier. I don't begrudge people who want to use this definition that in order to call it a religion, it's got to have this God component.
Well, wait.
I don't think that's as practical, as useful, doesn't have as much utility as a definition that I'm using. It sounds like you're using now. So
you're giving too much credit to his argument. Right. His argument is not that Satanism, the Satanic Church, doesn't believe in anything, so it doesn't constitute. He's saying that the devil, from a theological perspective, represents the absence of God. Hell represents being away from God. Therefore, it can't be a religion because it's the opposite of God. That's his argument.
Right. Okay.
Which is
that's strange, but
well, it's kind of retarded because, like, if we literally look on the screen, which he read, by the way, it says the belief in worship of a supernatural power or powers.
Right, which would be Satan.
Right? It says especially a god or gods, right? But a superhuman power or powers would be Satan. So he's literally showing a display of a definition that contradicts what he's saying. But okay. And then underneath it, there are other definitions that he doesn't read, which again contradict his statement, which is a particular system of faith and worship, which obviously even the non-theistic version of Satanism would apply to that. And then even under that is, again, a non-theistic version, the pursuit or interest to which someone ascribes supreme importance to. The example is consumerism is a new religion. So not a great argument, obviously, but
right. Yeah, no.
And so Satanism itself cannot be a religion by definition. However, inside of the Iowa State Capitol, there is a Satanic temple of Iowa.
They set those candles up to look like dongs. They did that on purpose, right?
Hey, let me look at the candles.
However,
Yeah, you're probably right.
You got like two dongs right there.
You're right. Well, no, well, why are there two? They should just put one like right.
Come over, ladies.
They should have put one right in front of like the crotch area, right?
Sure.
That'd been the move.
Inside of the Iowa State Capitol, there is a Satanic temple of Iowa, Baphomet, meaning a goat head man statue, that has been placed there with the pentagram based on Satanism being defined as a religion in the state of Iowa. This is wrong. Religion, by definition, is the worship of the presence of God or gods. But in the Christian understanding, God, a God, right? In the Jewish understanding, in the Muslim understanding, a God, right? Satan is the absence of that God, and therefore Satanism is not a religion. Nonetheless, the cowards inside of the Republican Party of Iowa allowed a satanic display to be presented quite prominently inside of the State House of Iowa. I'm from Iowa. I know exactly where this is. This is like right kind of in the dead center of the building. Well, this is terrible. But something wonderful has happened where this Satan statue has been beheaded and the entire display has been destroyed effectively and shattered and thrown into the garbage.
Those cowards for obeying the law
I know.
in the Law and Order Party. Cowards!
I mean, and I'm glad you pointed that out because it is super weird. It's like you're a coward and you're strong because you're so offended by a statue.
Oh, I know.
You have to violate the law, violate, principles of, freedom of speech. You get to violate all that. You're so weak that you're so triggered by the statue, right? But we consider the weakness a strength, a virtue, right?
Yeah.
But this is why,
Such a snowflake.
right, but that's what's so kind of wild about a lot of the reaction to this is that I'm like, it's literally all the same arguments that the woke left was making about hate speech.
Of course.
We have to tear down the statue of this guy because the guy represents racism to us. The statue means this to us. It's offensive. You're just putting the statue there to be offensive. Bah, 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 bah. It's all the same arguments. Like, just because you're offended means you get to tear something down. You don't have to follow the law. You don't have to follow the rules or procedures that we've set out, through our legal system. Boo to boo to boo.
Hell yeah.
Christian veteran.
And what did we say to the woke left? We said, listen, we have freedom of speech in this country. You're not going to agree with everything everyone says. If you don't like it, you don't have to look at it. You don't have to listen. Go somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
Just deal with it.
I remember that argument.
Just deal with it. Stop being a little bitch.
I remember.
Right.
You don't like these jokes? You turn the TV off.
Right. But suddenly now it's like, well, no. We have to destroy this thing.
But you don't understand, Sitch. This is about our religion.
Okay. Well,
This is insulting our dignity.
How many times have we said that wokeness is the new religion?
Oh, a million times.
Yeah, right. Well, now we see why. This is why it's so funny. This is literally why we would compare wokeness to religion, is this reason. This is why we'd say that they have their own blasphemy laws. It's because this reason, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
The satanic statue in the Iowa State Capitol. This man's name is Michael Cassidy. Not all heroes wear capes. Most of them just wear crosses. Is charged with criminal mischief for beheading a satanic statue inside of the Iowa State Capitol. A congressional candidate was charged with criminal mischief for allegedly destroying the satanic temple's display inside the state capitol. Michael Cassidy, 35, was arrested for beheading the controversial statue of the Baphomet, a goat-headed figure that represents Satanism. His defense fund was created for the devout Christian and now has $20,000 in it in just a few hours. This is the man, the myth, and the legend himself right here. He is a veteran, and he tore down the statue of Satan and he beheaded it. I wish to live inside of a country where Christian men tear down statues of Satan. I do not wish to live inside of a country where weak, feeble, fake Christians tell me that I must tolerate statues of Satan in my state house. Government sponsored. No.
I wish to live in a country, Adam,
Mm-hmm.
where we get rid of the racists, where we tear down the racisms all around us. Okay, there's racisms everywhere,
Yeah.
everywhere, all
Those
around.
racist statues got to go, right?
There's racist statues, there's
who
racist
cares about
names
the
of
law?
things, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I
Tear
keep
down
hearing
street signs.
these lily-livered liberals talking about rule of law and freedom of speech and all this other stuff. We need to take liberals and throw them in the trash because they're not like us, the true leftist revolutionaries who say, fuck you, I know what is right, good is good, bad is bad, right? And I'm going to act upon that.
I bet if that guy gets 10 years for tearing that statue down, he's going to think it wasn't such a good idea.
Well, he's going to get a fine for tearing the statue down. But
They should give him 10 years because I'd like to see what this other guy says about that. Would he be so in favor of it if he's like, 10 years?
Well, it's, yeah, 10 years. Yeah. So,
how'd old Benny feel about a 10-year prison sentence?
Well, to refresh, it's because the Michael Cassidy himself was advocating for a 10-year minimum penalty for people tearing down statues.
Right.
Of course, referring to Christopher Columbus / founding father statues. So
it's a bit different, you know.
Of course, it's different.
It's a historical statue.
Sure.
That's a bit worse.
Right. But of course it is. But it is ironic.
I just think it would be funny if he got 10 years.
Well, here's a question.
I don't think it'd be fair, but it'd be funny.
Well, it is different in terms of like a statue. If there's a statue that's existed for some period of time, it has history and existence. So obviously there's a difference. But is it that different if you have a statue of a person who is a literal slaver versus a statue of a character that many people think is fictional?
How does that make a difference? I mean,
well, no, but I'm saying, does that make the slaver statue worse than the devil statue? If you think the devil is a fictional character, and you think a statue of a real live human that enslaved people,
they don't think it's a fictional character.
No,
though.
I understand Christians don't, but I'm saying for people that do think it's fictional, right?
Right.
Well, actually, I don't think a lot of Christians literally believe in, like, I don't know if they all believe in Satan, at least in that format, right? So the goat head guy, but you can make an argument that the statue of the slaver, or the statue of Christopher Columbus, if the horrible things that have been claimed about him are true, you can very easily make an argument that statue represents something far worse than a statue of a fictional character for something that you don't necessarily believe in.
I think this is just all total cuck shit. It's all just big talk. I mean, the gas to drive there probably cost him more than the fine.
Yeah,
I'm
sure he's gonna get like a nothing fine.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. All of this is just big. Oh, look, we did something amazing.
Right.
That was like not really amazing at all. Who
Yes.
cares? Oh, this is just, them talking about how amazing it is that they tore down a satanic statue just screams cuck shit to me.
Well, it's when this guy runs for Congress again next year.
Yeah, I want to know how many evangelical Christians are in that district.
Right. He can be like, oh, I was a guy. I mean, I bet you there's going to be like, this would be the I'd be shocked if he didn't film it, right? His campaign out next year is going to be like the slow motion of the statue falling over and him standing there like pushing over and being like, Michael Cassidy, he drove across the country to destroy Satan.
I bet his district is packed with evangelical Christians to the point where he had to drive 2 states over just to find a place that didn't have so many Christians. Exactly. Where they could actually put up a Satan statue.
There you go.
Yeah. That's why he had to go so far.
Right.
He had to get out of the Bible Belt.
Yep.
That's not the country I'm going to live in. Nope.
Oh, good. He's moving.
I don't care what your feelings are on this. There is a noble path forward.
Listen, he doesn't care what your feelings are because he wants to tell you about his feelings.
His feelings. I know. That's why I had to stop it. I'm like, what? He wanted to do a look facts don't care about your feelings thing there, and he's like, oh shit, well wait, I'm talking about my feelings. No one's talking about facts here.
Right. Yeah.
And then there is a sunken path. And I choose the noble path. U.S. former Navy pilot and congressional candidate has been charged with criminal mischief for destroying a satanic temple display inside the Iowa State Capitol. Michael Cassidy is 35 years old. He was arrested. Iowa State Police confirmed that he will be charged with criminal mischief. How many people that tore down statues of Christopher Columbus were charged with criminal mischief? Christopher Columbus brought Christianity to the New World.
Do we know how many people were charged with criminal mischief?
So this is why I looked up in that story that I told you about with the Native American guy.
I figured you probably did. You're like,
I did. Well, I was curious.
I wonder how many.
Well, it's a good question. I was curious. Now, there's no lists, right, of every time a step like that I could find that categorize every time someone tear down a Christopher Columbus statue illegally, and then how many times they got charged. I found incidences where they were not charged, but it seemed like the majority of instances I did find people were charged.
Of course they were.
Now, some of them, what they're actually charged with would vary, because some of them would get like BS slaps on the wrist. Some of them would actually get some more extreme actual, penalty or fine or whatever. Usually would relate to the context around the statue. They just tear the statue down. Who's the person that did it? Was it in the middle of a violent riot or mob? Obviously, the more out of hand the situation is, the more likely, the higher the charge is going to be against the person. But there definitely were tons of people across the country that were charged for tearing down statues, and Christopher Columbus statues specifically. So that is true. They were charged, and there were people that weren't charged. So,
I mean, this guy's face just screams criminal mischief to me. I don't know about you, but
well, and it's weird too, because like he the way he categorizes Christopher Columbus is super bizarre. He's like, well, they want to tear down statues of Christopher Columbus, the guy who brought Christianity to the New World. I mean, is that how we categorize Christopher Columbus? It's the guy who brought Christianity to the New World.
No, of course not.
Like,
he discovered America.
Right. Like, okay, like at first it was like he discovered America, and then now there's this idea that he was a horrible slaving rapist. Now, I'll be completely frank. I've seen, people say that's 100% true. I've seen people say that it's not true. And I've never really personally cared enough to dive into it to find out the truth of that claim, one way or the other. So I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other. But I do know that the people that are against the statue, they're not against it because he was bringing Christianity to the world. They're against it because they think he was a racist slaver. Now, even if he was a racist slaver, that would not justify anyone illegally tearing down the statue of anyone. People should not be illegally tearing down statues. If you have a statue and you think it's shouldn't be there, you have to do what we all do in our democratic society. You have to get a bunch of people to agree with you, and you have to, petition your local representatives to get rid of the thing or to change the thing. That's the process we live under. You don't get to just say, fuck the process. I get to use violence now.
Yeah.
By tearing down statues of Christopher Columbus, you are effectively attacking my faith. You are attacking Christians everywhere. You're attacking any Christian on this American continent or around the world.
So it's interesting. He says his point, but this actually destroys his entire argument. Because essentially, he's saying, well, I view Christopher Columbus as an attack on my Christian faith, right? That's his perception. But obviously, the people that are tearing down the statue, they have a different perception. They believe that they're tearing down a symbol of slavery and racism.
Right.
So, but then how does that argue? So if that's the argument he's going to buy on or lean on here is that, well, everyone interprets the statue differently. How does that not also apply to any Christian symbol? Say, well, your symbol of the nativity scene is like a symbol of forgiveness and redemption and blah, 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 blah. But if someone's an atheist, it's a symbol of, damnation and hellfire and repression and oppression, right? Or the same thing with the Satan statue. The Satan statue is going to mean different things to different people.
Everything's so complicated.
It's kind of the whole conflict we're talking about here, right?
Oh, yeah. Super conflict oriented.
So he was an Italian Christian And he is credited with bringing Christianity to the New World, and his statue's been torn down in multiple cities across the United States. Will they be charged with hate crimes? Was anyone charged with criminal mischief for that?
Yeah.
Or is it just when you tear down a statue of
Sitch looked
Satan?
it up.
How
Yeah.
completely and totally f***ed is our society? Unbelievable. This man's a hero. Michael Cassidy just beheaded a monument to Satan inside of the Iowa State.
What a cock. What a fucking cock. I can't believe this, Sitch. Is like some goofy fucking paper mache Satan in Iowa, and he thinks the country's fucked.
It's very, very snowflakey. Yeah.
Oh my god.
You have this display.
This is insane.
You have this display by a group that doesn't even believe in Satan that like no one cares about. And now a lot more people do care about it because you destroyed it, but no one actually cared about. And people would walk by and be like, that's fucking weird. And then they continue on with the rest of their day. And it would have been gone in a couple days anyway, you know. And,
how is this any different than, look, I got misgendered on Twitter. Fucking America's fucked.
I mean, it's the same. It is essentially the same thing. Yeah.
America's fucked.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
State capital, Satanic Temple. Turning Point USA is proud to pledge $10,000 to his legal defense fund. We stand with the Satan Slayer. Michael Cassidy is a devout Christian and military officer. Michael just tore down and beheaded the Satan statue. Not all heroes wear capes, but they all wear crosses. The post-millennial is saying that...
It's like, this is just, I can't stand this, Sitch. They're like content farming all this nonsense.
I know. Yeah. Well, we're content farming them, I guess. So, you know, it's the circle of life. The circle of life.
Okay, that's fair. This is bad content here.
Yeah, no, it's
the
really bad.
Fund to assist the Satan Slayer is popping.
Listen, this guy, Adam, this guy creates like 1 billion videos a day. Okay. And they'll get good views. Like he just pops these videos out. Like he literally does like 4 to 6 videos a day. Like he just boom, 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 boom. Right. He's got to like look for everything he can. Right. And just say whatever comes off the top of his head.
I get it.
Yeah.
Off now that has raised an enormous amount of money. Death to Satan is what Jack Posobiec says. Cassidy says, I saw this as a blasphemous statue and was outraged. My conscience is held captive to the word of God, not bureaucratic decree, and so I acted. Well done. Cassidy ran for Congress in Mississippi. No word here on if he was like living in Iowa or if he traveled up here just to do this.
He traveled up there just to do it.
Oh man.
Well, that's what's funny is like, even if you don't like the statue and you like the guy tearing it down, I mean, you know, you at least have the self-awareness to acknowledge that he did this for a publicity stunt reasons, that it's, you know, he's just doing it for his own selfish purposes. Obviously.
Morality binds and blinds, man.
Right.
They can't acknowledge that.
Come
He's
on.
the Satan Slayer now.
Right,
Come on.
Okay. I mean, if Satan was so easily destroyed that any random person could just go knock it off its little like flimsy altar, like
yeah, was Satan as big a problem as he's been made out to be?
Right.
Doubtful.
Right.
Drew outrage with Iowa lawmakers saying, I'm calling for our governor to have this blasphemous display removed immediately based on the grounds that is unconstitutional, offends God, upon whom the state of Iowa depends on blessings. That's exactly right. Satan is the absence of God. It is antithetical to God. It is not a religion. It is the absence of religion. It is not light. It is the absence of light.
I'll be right back.
I am calling for clarity on legislation adopted in accordance with the state constitution that prohibits satanic display in our capital. That's exactly right. And in our public schools. Do you understand what happens next? Cassie told the Sentinel, this is a publication, a newspaper, that he destroyed the satanic altar to awaken Christians to the anti-Christian acts promoted by our government. Yes. The world may...
So that's a weird framing here. With the destroy the statue to awaken to the anti-Christian acts promoted by our government. So obviously, the implication would be that this statue has something to do with broader culture war issues, which, you know, you can kind of frame it. You can take almost any issue really and force it through the lens of Is it a pro-Christian or anti-Christian thing? You could talk about, gay acceptance, transing the kids, any of this stuff that can all be kind of thrown through the lens of, is it pro-Christian? Is it anti-Christian? I don't think that's really like a valid way of looking at it. People that are, doing the transitioning children, they're not doing it from a theological perspective. That's not their motivation here for why they're doing that. They've basically been tricked because their kid is, well, obviously there's some people that legitimately have gender dysphoria, but I think a majority of them basically been caught by a social contagion, and their parents are basically told by health workers that don't have their best interests at heart that, they have to do this very experimental thing in order to make sure their kid doesn't commit suicide. But it's bad. It's especially bad if you're going to put free speech, if you're going to categorize free speech as an anti-Christian act promoted by the government, because it's essentially what Cassidy is saying here. It's like, this statue is put up for free speech. I'm destroying it because this shows anti-Christianity is promoted by our government. So you're saying that free speech itself is an anti-Christian thing promoted by our government, which, that's not really a great argument to make, but.
Ouch.
Tell Christians to be submissively accept the legitimization of Satan, but none of the founders would have considered government sanction of satanic altars inside of the Capitol buildings as protected by the First Amendment. Anti-Christian values have steadily been mainstreamed more and more in recent decades, and Christians have largely acted like proverbial frog in the pot of water. Correct. Michael Cassidy Legal Defense Funds has launched, ladies and gentlemen, and is where right now? Let's check. It is at nearly $30,000. Its goal was to raise 20. Well, boom.
Oh, we got to do
shaka,
this, Sitch.
laka. Satan was a
private this video. I have a plan.
We want to go find a Satan statue to destroy, and then we can raise money off of it? That
yes. This seems like the ultimate grift here.
I mean, let's do it. Listen, if you guys know any more Satan statues that we can go destroy, right? Go send us a message.
Call me the Satan Slayer from now on.
We'll go out there. We'll destroy all the Satan statues, okay? Completely because of our moral convictions against freedom of speech, not because we want money.
Prolific slave owner having his statue in the Iowa State Capitol as an affront to African Americans. Well, that's one way to look at it, for certain. I haven't slave owner, right? You'd assume a slave owner, the owner of souls, right? The owner of souls, depending on your understanding of the story of the origin of Satan, right? As a fallen angel who is here to corrupt, kill, and destroy God's good work on this earth. Haven't seen any Democrats defending the satanic ritual altar in the Iowa State Capitol. It's all been Republicans. Really makes you think. That's exactly right.
I mean, it's not surprising. Whenever I see Jack Posobiec, my brain looks at his name and thinks Jack piece of shit. But I guess that just plays into the...
Really? Why is that?
Well, Posobiec, the first POS, right? Jack
No, yeah, obviously. But why do you think?
Well, because he is. I mean,
he's kind of dishonest, right?
He's hyper dishonest. And also, hyper promoting horrible things, in our society. Just because he calls out wokeness doesn't mean that he's right about a bunch of stuff. Let me read you a statement. This is the statement from a guy named Representative John Dunwell, who is Republican, is a representative in Iowa, and is a pastor. Okay, he's literally a pastor. And he had this statement on Twitter, which I thought was a very good statement. He says, after explaining how the statue came into being, he says, my observations and responses as an Iowan state representative and a pastor. My observation as a follower of Christ. I certainly find the display from the Satanic Temple objectionable. It stands in direct opposition to my faith and would be classified as evil, not a new experience for me or my family. The Word of God continually warns about the dangers in our world. In fairness, many other religions or non-religious people have the same perspective about Christianity. My observation as an Iowan and a state representative, I don't want the state evaluating and making determination about religions. I'm guided by the First Amendment of the United States Constitution.
The civil religion.
My response as a follower of Christ. The display is an inanimate object that has no real power in of itself. We have nothing to fear. Oppose the message of the display. It is not just another way to worship the same God. There are differences that need to be pointed out. The display glorifies the evil influences that we oppose. The primary response required is prayer. The display itself is an invitation of the work we have yet to do. Iowa needs Jesus. The display provides a teaching example for our families of the difference between the person and the work of Christ and that of Satan. Love, light, and sacrifice compared to a dark, foreboding creature. My faith is never imposed upon others, nor should it ever become a direct part of government. It is always a response to the person and the work of Jesus Christ. I don't want to mix the kingdoms. Government is a poor arbitrator of religion. Take full advantage of the opportunities to express our faith in appropriate displays and programs at the Capitol.
This is exactly what I'm talking about, Sitch.
Right.
This guy's a Christian.
This guy's based. This guy's super based. My response as a state representative: review the guidelines to ensure they represent our constitutional rights. Monitor the number of organizations requesting displays. I don't want the Capitol to be overwhelmed by displays, which is going to happen now. In the future, we may need to find a way to appropriately limit the number of displays. Continue to dialogue with other elected officials and Iowans on this issue. Okay. So this guy...
Is this the guy that approved the thing?
No. It's not approved by politicians. It's approved by some people
committee
that
manage the building or sets up the displays or whatever. Okay.
Yes. Now those people are under the jurisdiction of the politicians, and the politicians
so they can veto anything if they do something that's well,
but they don't like.
People would argue this is profanity.
Yeah. Right.
That's so pornographic, maybe.
Right. So, but anyway, so this guy is super based. This is a super based Republican Christian who lays it all out. Okay. Government, you don't want the government regulating religion. The government sucks at regulating religion. You know, I disagree with it. I think it's evil, but freedom of speech is sort of the code that we live under in this country. You know, as a Christian, you should be aware of the paths of evil that is set before you, blah, 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 right?
And it's a better strategy, too, because the guy who's putting up the Satan statue wants to piss this guy off, and this guy's just like, nah, I'm not pissed off, right?
Yeah.
That's a good strategy.
Right. So it's great. Wonderful statement. Super base guy. If I was Iowan, I would vote for him. So, because I think it takes a lot more boldness and guts to be the person who says things that you know could anger the people in your own party. He obviously knew this would anger some people on the right, and yet he still made the statement of his own choice. So to me, that is a mark of a person who is swimming with strength and integrity, who's willing to stand against their own team and say, no, this is what we should be doing.
Statues will be smashed. Smash bales. I love this account. Yes. Good job. Smash these statues of Satan. No, nice little idol you got there. Be ashamed if somebody smashed it. Boom. Boom. Yes. Stay and go. Very, very based. If it's free speech to burn an American flag, it's free speech to behead the statue of Satan. Good job. Yes.
What?
He said, if it's free speech to burn an American flag, it's free speech to destroy a statue of Satan. And he just says that and doesn't understand
the difference. Well, you would think someone burning an American flag was burning their own American flag.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if he knows this. You can construct or buy a statue of Satan and then destroy it as much as you want, right?
Yeah.
You could do that. You could buy 100 statues of Satan and destroy them all, right? And film yourself destroying them. Every fucking statue of Satan you can get your hands on, right?
You can't
it's your property, right?
Yeah, you can't go down to the State House and burn the American flag that's hanging on the pole.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. It's weird to me when people throw out these like really insipidly stupid responses and a bunch of people like NPC brains just not along like it's some kind of, coherent argument. So
yeah.
Exactly.
But people believe this. Look, so many people don't track the arguments. That they just listen. They're like, I like this guy. He said everything he says, I totally agree with.
Yeah, because it's just, they don't care about the argument or even the principle the argument's invoking. They just care about the outcome or the person saying it. Right.
Yep.
So they go, oh, well, the outcome is the Satan statue is smashed, so I must agree. Right. It's like, oh, okay. Not quite, but sure.
I prefer to live in a country where Christian men tear down statues of Satan instead of tolerating true evil. There is no call for tolerance in our Christian Bible. That is a lie that has been given to us by people who hate us. The idea that Christians must be tolerant of all people and tolerant. Christ wasn't tolerant.
See, this is the conflation that bothers me, because I don't hate Christians. I love Christians. But I do hate authoritarians.
Right.
I mean, I fucking hate them. I hate them.
Yeah.
I hate them.
Well, you should, because they're bad people who want to control and destroy your life.
Yeah, totally. But there's just as many atheist authoritarians on the left as there are Christian authoritarians on the right. It's just, ugh.
Well,
I just wish Christians could be mellow. Just chill out already. Chillax.
I don't think there was until recently. I mean, they existed, but they weren't activated. I think now the atheist authoritarians on the left are activated via communism/socialism. I don't think they're activated via their atheism so much.
No,
like, there are
right.
some, but I don't think there's that many of them, right?
Yeah. They hate the rich. They hate capitalists.
Right. They come out through the socialist stuff. But this is why, I mean, take this, take your forgiveness and shove it up your ass. Like, Jesus doesn't promote tolerance, that's a take. I'm sure that people can argue that biblically or argue against it biblically one way or the other.
Yeah, well, look, all the reasons I gave for Christianity are thrown out the window, according to this guy.
Right, exactly, yeah. I mean, this is, this kind of goes into, again, what you were talking about with this is why the Satanic Church people exist. They're reacting to Matt Walsh, they're reacting to Benny here. That is who they are trying to trigger. That's who they're reacting to with their Satan statue. So that doesn't necessarily justify it, because I think it's still a stupid thing, because it basically turns off, most people that aren't Benny, who are not Matt Walsh, who are far more moderate. But,
Yeah, and it activates the authoritarians, so it's just a lose-lose.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, on one hand, I mean, I agree. I think it's stupid. I don't think it's going to help their message. But on the other hand, I'm happy this happened, because sometimes I think you need to activate the authoritarians so people see them and go, oh, that's right. Those people are authoritarians. They still exist. They're still on all sides of this issue, and they could be on my side. They just kind of haven't been activated at that moment. So sometimes you need to push the boundaries a little, just so you can get the little Marco Polo on who these people are.
Right, but I prefer to keep them unactivated.
Yeah. Well, these people are already activated. They're activated by all the woke stuff. But what I mean is, it helps to show what they're, let the mask slip, do something that makes the mask slip a little bit, so you can go, oh, okay. Right. So they can't hide behind well, I'm against wokeness because it's anti-liberal. It's like, okay, well, you don't believe in liberalism or liberty. So even though this guy begins, this is why it's so weird. This guy begins his video talking about how freedom and liberty is so based, and now he's taking the exact opposite position.
Right.
Popped off in the Bible multiple times. He asked for people to be redeemed, to accept that they had a sinful life and they were on the wrong path, and sin no more. Christ was not tolerant of sin. He was intolerant of sin and also of desecration of holy places. I'm not sure you'd call a state house a holy place, but you certainly should not be defiling places with statues of Satan. It is quite clear what Christ would have done in this situation, as the man who has torn down many, many statues of Satan, including Satan himself, as you understand the temptations of Christ. Facing Satan himself and destroying Satan himself. Do you not think that Christ would have also been here to tear down the statue? Satan has no place in our society and should not be recognized as a religion by the federal government. I'll chip in to contribute to this Veterans Legal Defense Fund, says Ron DeSantis. Good prevails over evil. That's the American spirit. That's the correct take.
There you go. Ron is getting in on the whole. See, Ron is always looking for that money on the table he can grab.
Yeah, Ron's...
He's like, oh, of course, yeah, fuck free speech. What do I care? Okay.
as well. And good on you. Ladies and gentlemen, I would say to Ron DeSantis, who has been endorsed by the governor of Iowa, somebody named Kim Reynolds, that he should call her and tell her that the statue should not be in the state capitol no matter what. Period. You're the governor. Come on. It's my home state, so it stings a bit, this story. I don't want to see my home state tolerate this. Go do what you want. This is state property, right? Like, you're not allowed to like erect a statue of state. You know, march around the mall, local mall with your little Satan thing. You know, whatever. Go stand in a parking lot somewhere. I don't want it. I don't like it. But there's plenty of fields in Iowa. There's nothing but fields in Iowa. Just go stand in a field somewhere. You sick freaks. But to allow that inside of the state capitol is a desecration and an embarrassment to the state. God bless Michael Cassidy. I'm going to go donate right now. I think you should too. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe.
Okay. I do give a lot of credit, and I don't know if she's changed her opinion on this, but the governor of Iowa, I do give her a lot of credit for not giving into the woke mob here, Kim Reynolds. And she said, you know, I don't believe she's changed her position, but she said that she thinks the statue is offensive and sucks, but that you shouldn't illegally tear it down. So she's sticking to, you know, freedom of speech, baby. I give her a lot of credit for that. She said,
yeah, of course.
She said, like many Iowans, I find the Satanic temples display in the Capitol absolutely objectionable. In a free society, the best response to objectionable speech is more speech, and I encourage all those of faith to join me today in praying over the Capitol and recognizing the nativity scene that will be on display, the true reason for the season. So there you go. I give her a lot of credit for standing up to the woke mob and not kowtowing on this. So good on you, Kim Reynolds.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent, Kim.
Yep.
Kim Reynolds.
It's funny, CT asked, she said, how many Columbus statues are there in America? I don't know if maybe it's an American thing. I guess it's not in Canada. There's a lot of statues of Christopher Columbus in America. They're like all over the place. They're all over the place. So yeah, there were definitely a lot of statues of Christopher Columbus, and there were a lot of statues of Christopher Columbus getting torn down by like an angry mob of people or something. So they're all over the place.
Kim Reynolds is a Republican.
Kim Reynolds is a Republican, yeah.
I guess you'd have to be a Republican in Iowa, right?
I would imagine.
First in the nation.
Okay.
First in the nation primary.
Let me read some super chat.
Hi, you just listened to a clip from the Sitch and Adams show. If you like what you heard, you can listen to our live show right here on this channel on Sunday, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you want, you can super chat us. We read $20 and up super chats on the show and then do a follow-up stream on the following Tuesday where we read the rest of the unread super chats and interact with fans of the show. Subscribe to this channel right here to listen to the live show or to listen to more of our awesome clips.